Hello for the 30th Sunday in Ordinary Time. And I'm using a lot of readings. Sirach 35, 12 to 14 and 16 to 18. And the responsorial psalm or the Psalm 34. And as usual, the Gospel. Luke 18, 9 to 14. Well, first of all, let's start with Sirach. Sirach was this book, Sirach, it's sort of late in the Jewish history before Christ. Sirach was a popular philosopher around 200 BC, 175 BC, and this book, his name is Ben Sirach. He was a Jewish popular philosopher scribe in Jerusalem at that time. And this book, called the Book of Sirach, we have here, is also called by another name, which confuses things, Ecclesiasticus in Latin. And the book of Ecclesiasticus, or the Book of Sirach, was not officially taken into our Bible, the Roman Catholic Bible, until the Council of Trent in the 16th century. So 1,500 years after Christ, the Roman Catholic Church says this book is one of our official books. Well, in the Protestant Bible, or King James, or whatever you call it, it's not there. But at any rate, Ben Sirach, he talks about, does God have any favorites? And he says, no, God has no favorites, period. But then he goes on and he starts to talk about God's favorites, as far as the poor, the abandoned, the blind, the lame, the sick, whatever. As God has favorites. This is before Jesus. That's what Ben Sirach said. Okay, well, that's one. Then the other is, well, look what we just sang in the Psalm 34, where we say, rejoice in God, he cares for the needy and the poor. You just sang, the Lord hears the cry of the poor. Favorite? Option for the poor, we talk about. One of the verses in there is the Lord is close to the brokenhearted. So the brokenhearted seems to be a favorite of God, Jehovah. I find that interesting. Do you think God has favorites, or is it all justice? Everybody is equal and no favorites. Amusing, in the gospel, Jesus takes two groups of people that are probably the worst enemies of the Jewish people, the tax collectors and the Pharisees. Well, they hated the tax collectors because, it's like April 15th when you don't have money to pay the federal government. Why did they take all this money? And with the Jewish people, why did they take all of my money and ship it off out of town to Rome? I don't get any benefit from my taxes. They hated these people who collected them. Besides, some of them they put a little bit extra in their pocket before they shipped it to Rome. And then the Pharisees were, like we know the law, we know what you people should do. So they told the people what to do, and they wouldn't do it themselves. I would say it's like a bad bishop. We don't have any bad bishops, but I'd say it's like a bad bishop. At least ours isn't a bad bishop. So in the story, Jesus Christ sees two people that they don't like at all, and he makes one of them a hero. He makes the tax collector the hero. Why did he choose the tax collector over the Pharisee? Well, let me tell you. I don't know. Did he dislike, hate the Pharisees more than tax collectors? I don't know. But that's the story that he gives. God, Jesus, or the Father, do they have any favorites? You know, anyone, any group, any nation? We're starting to think any planet. Is any planet a favorite of God or the Father who created the heavens and the earth? What do you think? Well, let me give you my answer, and I invite you to give your answer or make up your answer. What do you think? And it just sort of goes like this. God has no favorites relative to justice, but it seems like, or he loves everybody infinitely, but it seems like Jesus Christ, the more emotional, because God became a man or a woman, men and women are emotional. I think Jesus Christ had favorites. I even think God of the Old Testament had favorites. Well, here's how I think this. I find it sort of like a little child finding a little bird with a broken leg or a maimed leg, sort of hopping around, falling over on one leg. And the little child just looks at that with total compassion, picks it up, takes it home to mommy, and says, we got to care for this bird. We got to take care of this poor little bird. I think God's like the little child. And I think God and we are like the little bird. That God finds us broken, weak, needing help, needing very much assistance to bring us back, to life, to fullness of life. And the little child picks up the little bird. The God picks up the little boy or the little girl, or God picks up you or me. And by golly, you and I are the favorite of God. But somehow in the mystery of everything, God treats all of us like his favorite. God is like that little child who feels and loves and picks up and mends the broken legs or the broken hearts of us all. Because of the infinite love that God has, I think he can make you his favorite. And I think he does. Now, what's your answer to, does God have any favorites? Make up your little story, will you? Have a good day.